Hey everybody, my name's Owen, and I'm going through some stuff, going through some things, and some of the things that I'm going through is gear that I have, and sometimes you got to make decisions about the gear that you have, and should this gear that you have be the gear that you still have, and you got to make decisions about getting rid of that gear. And sometimes you take in gear that wasn't yours and you trade it for other gear, and then all of a sudden that gear is yours. And the question is, do you keep the gear? Atlas, do you keep the gear? So these are two items that I'm gonna show you today that I was deliberating whether or not I was gonna keep, and I'm making this video because I do this all the time, and a lot of the things that I decide to keep or not keep are fucking awesome, and somebody else wants to see them. I know they do, because I really like seeing them when they're in my house. And this is a mid 1960s Hagstrom 2. It was made in Sweden. I traded a Trainer TS60B for this guitar last week, knowing just positive that I would be selling this guitar as soon as I got it. And then irritatingly magical things started to happen with this guitar. It was described to me as a project, one that I was kind of happy to take on, but a project it was not. It's like set up great. The stuff that was really crackly and awkies about the electronics like cleared up with a little bit of deoxit. It wasn't a big deal. I needed to replace the spring for this vibrato assembly, which is some terrible kind of bastardized combination of like a harmony trim and like a Strat trim, not really, I don't know, and like a Jaguar Jazzmaster trim, but it put itself back together, and then I opened it up to install the spring that I got. Oh, it needed no spring. It was already there. The spring was fine. It had just come disconnected. Bam, that problem is solved. It's decently intonated, even though it has a completely inadjustable bridge. The neck feels fantastic, and the pickups sound so good and throaty and really garage-y, and like all of a sudden this decision that I had already made becomes more complicated because I like this guitar more than I thought I did. So what do I do? And the same kind of goes for this amp. I've had this amp for so long. I have sunk a like stupid amount of money into this amp. It is a mid 1960s Harmony 420. 420? 420? H420, and it is from the mid 60s. Like I said, it's about 35 watts, two 6L6s. It is stock at the moment, and holy shit, did it take a long time to get stock. This has been through a bunch of techs' hands, and it took like a long time for the right tech to see it. It's not a simple amp, but man, did it take more times than it should have to get right. It's a 1x15 combo. It was meant to be a bass amp. It's a really good guitar amp. It's a decent recording bass amp. And I just wanted to play it a little bit to show you that I was having a difficult time like getting rid of both of those things because they sound great together. The electronics assembly on this is funny. This is a kill switch for the entire guitar. It's not wired in right now. And then you've got each pickup, when they're both off, the guitar's off. Neck pickup labeled L for low, I guess, and bridge pickup labeled H for high, and then you've got a capacitor, like a fixed tone control, basically. Kind of like a lead and rhythm circuit option on a Jaguar or a Jazzmaster. And then you have a mute switch, which isn't a mute, actually. It is just a resistor power, like a resistor controlled volume cut. tone impact. And then this volume knob is supposed to be a master volume. I just leave it at 10. This probably should be replaced, honestly. It's super crackly and doesn't seem to actually do anything. And but that's the full story, and gosh, wasn't I happy to get it. And I don't know how loud this will be or how decent it'll sound on camera, but gosh almighty, does it sound nice to my ears in the room. So both pickups on. All right, great. The mute was on, which was stupid. So. But it wasn't a mute because it's not a mute, it's just a dumb volume cut. So that was both again, and then we've got the neck pickup. The volume on the amp is at max. There are 3 knobs on the amp. It's volume, tone, or volume, bass, and treble. There is no mids, but you fix your mids by fucking with the bass and the treble. Everything on the guitar is just like all out, and then I'm making switches that just are either neck or bridge or both. But what I really love so far about this particular combination is just how throaty it is and like dry, and it just cuts super great. I'm plugged straight into the amp. Just breaks up in a way that's so pleasant. We've got more dog farts in this room right this second than amps. It's to do? What to do? You got that cool move you can do. The only reason why this is an actual problem, it's not none of this is a problem, is because I thought I was gonna have money in my pocket to spend on other cool stuff, but then but then this like cool thing fell into my lap. I've never wanted a Hagstrom 2 before. I would have never searched this out. I've never lusted for this guitar. It's one of the beautiful things about making gear decisions pretty much only based on like resale value, is that it'll lead you to places that you didn't know that you wanted to go, because I'm not motivated by other factors. It helps me kind of keep a clear head. I'll talk about that later on. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. I just wanted you to see this cool Harmony 420. I went ahead and listed this for like more than I've ever seen one sell for, but less than like a price that makes people go like, is that person clinical? It's on Reverb. I'll put my Reverb shop in the comments. And the Hagstrom 2, I fucking forced my hand. I have to record at least like a handful of songs with this. It was also, magical things happened when I got this guitar. It was supposed to be a project, but then all the things that were a project about it weren't a project, actually. Like the switches cleaned up with, they didn't work. Deox it. It was fine. I needed a replacement spring for this bridge, except I didn't. The spring was still in here and just had become disconnected from the retaining screw. The setup was awesome already. It plays already up, like all the way up the neck, and the fretwear is essentially like minimal. I really liked the sound of the pickups, and then it was really loud. It was noisy and clearly like ungrounded because the hum went away when I touched the pickups. I opened it up expecting to have to to figure out a wiring diagram or like do something complicated. It wasn't at all. The cavity is already shielded, and the ground was ran the way it was supposed to. A lot of times on older guitars, or not even just older guitars, but on this particular guitar, the bottom of the bottom of the cavity was shielded. And then the back of the pickguard was shielded. But this guitar was so old, the contact point between the shielding that they would run up to the point where it touches the shielding on the back of the pickguard that completes the ground circuit had worn away, and that contact wasn't being made anymore. So all it took was like 2 seconds and some adhesive copper shielding tape to run between the shielding on the pickguard and the shielding on the back of the cavity. Like, I don't know, is that a sign? Is that an omen? These are the best of times.